May I invite the following panelists to join us for the forum discussion: Dr. Amilan, Dato Dr. Nordin, Dr. Sohayati, Mr. Dave Kumar, Mr. Wellington, Ms. Roslyn, and Mr. Paul.
Right. Just give us a few minutes. So we had, firstly, thank you to all the speakers today. Quite a refreshing set of topics. I think some things I've learned in the process. And while the topics were going on, I did take note of some of the pointers before we start the forum, just to summarize some of the discussions raised today. For example, there was a need to have sort of a few steps, 6 steps in the process of better pet urban living standards. One is preparation, where we look at compulsory data collection, licensing, as well as neutering, dog training, and this would be part of the preparation part of it, followed by education, which is always going to be the founding pillar of any community-based activity, and the need for continuous engagement from all levels, be it from the veterinary department, the Ministry of Local Housing, as well as through the veterinary profession and the NGOs and the various authorities. And of course, the need for harmonization, and that's why we want to create some dialogue on this so that everyone plays their role accordingly, including the pet owner who plays the most critical role from the beginning to minimize abandonment and promote responsible pet ownership. And of course, finally, compliance, where we look at ensuring standards and regulations are followed and maintained. So with that, thank you to the panelists here. I'd like to open to questions. Oh, sorry. Let's go to the questions that have come up to the credo here. Sorry. Okay, the first question was directed to Dr. Sohayati. Despite having the Animal Welfare Act 2015, pet abandonment remains a concern. What are the biggest challenges faced by DVS in addressing this issue? And what more can be done through collaboration with local authorities, NGOs, and the public?
Okay, Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh, and good afternoon. Thank you, Doctor, and list of the panel. Okay, pet abundance is indeed one of the biggest animal welfare challenge to be continued faced in Malaysia. Okay, it's not only issue of animal welfare, but it also issue of disease control for the DVS. Okay, this is such rabies, whereby the disease is very dangerous to humans, and is also very contagious. It's considered can be endemic in Malaysia without a control. And it's very related to the population of animals such dogs. Okay, the issue is often linked to the responsible owner, where people acquire pets without fully considering the long-term commitment involved. Once animals are abandoned, to identify the responsible owner is very difficult. So this making the enforcement very challenging. This is why collaboration is very important between agencies, related agencies, such as DVS, KPKT, and NGOs, veterinary professionals, and other stakeholders are very important. First thing, to educate the publics to taking care the animals, and more responsible to the pets, their own, and the animal welfare initiative lah. And at the end of the day, we hope that preventing abundance dogs, cats, will begin long before the enforcement should be considered. So it starts with the responsible decision before acquiring the pets, and make sure you are really committed to the animals before you consider to have them. So animal welfare is truly responsible of everybody, especially the owner. That's all from me. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Sohayati, for the clear explanation on that. We will now move to the second question on the Credo app. Where can owners get proper training regarding RPO? Maybe I can direct this to Mr. Wellington Ho. Can you repeat? Yes. Where can someone get proper responsible pet ownership training?
Okay. Since the Canine Sports Club has been introduced at this symposium, so I think that would be as good as any to approach for training. And because the training is done in a group environment, it is not just giving the training to the dog, but also allowing the dog to have social interaction with other dogs, with other people, which is just as important. Because socializing a dog basically training a dog has to do very much with socializing a dog. And socializing a dog means the dog has to be exposed to all the different conditions that it would be subject to on a daily life basis. And normally such basis would include meeting other dogs, meeting other people, going to strange places, strange noises, and all that can be experienced in the group kind of training carried out by the Canine Sports Club.
Thank you, Mr. Wellington, for the clarification. We have a few more questions in the list here. The next question is regarding the challenges of harmonization of animal welfare laws. Maybe the question would be, how difficult would be, this is a big question, how difficult would it be to harmonize animal welfare laws between federal agencies and local councils? Mr. Dave, would you have an answer for that?
Testing. I guess this most difficult question must obviously fall to me and not anyone else. How difficult is it to harmonize the federal and the local agencies? Well, that's the thing. We haven't gotten to that stage yet. We can only suggest or plan out one central body or several central bodies which are going to harmonize their answers together or their plans together. Whether federal is going to be involved or not is up to either Parliament to say so or for the local councils to take their own initiative. But usually, I would think the federal government would be involved, and they would introduce some form of standardized legislation for all the local councils to follow, that we unify one set of rules and guidelines, especially to begin with in Klang Valley, so that at least a same set of rules and bylaws and guidelines are followed by everyone living in either high-rise condominiums or on landed property. It has to start from the federal government and then come down and be adhered to by the local councils. I hope that helps.
Thank you, Mr. Dave, for that clarification. I do believe it is, there's a lot of steps in the process, and I think you've done your best to answer that question. In line with, but of course, I think it's about constant engagement and bringing this matter to the right authorities, to the regulators, to make the choices in front of them, and they need to be equally educated on the challenges that's happening on the ground. The next question, I can open this up to the representatives from Brisbane. More to do with, despite the success that you have had in Brisbane with the licensing and the registration, what are the biggest challenges that you have? How do you deal with the stray cat population? Is that an issue in Brisbane? Or how do you deal with, or do you have a stray pet population in Brisbane of concern, or have you resolved that, and in what duration?
I'll start. Paul may be able to finish this one. For Brisbane, this has been a long-term journey to get to where we are at this point of time. I'd say back in the 1970s and 1980s, we had a very large population of dogs that would wander the streets, the same with cats as well. With the legislation being implemented in the 90s, obviously, Paul, you had the stats there in your presentation in regards to the number of dogs and cats that have ended up in our rehoming centres this year. With that, I'd say our problem at this point of time is probably greater with cats than dogs.
Yes, I'd probably suggest cats are the bigger problem. Yep. And they're probably, I guess due to the fact that they're not registered and that it makes it all that more difficult to manage. Yes.
Also in Queensland, cats that are unowned are considered feral under our Biosecurity Act, and they're managed in accordance with that as well.
Great. Thank you for that clarification, Ms. Roslyn. I think that brings us to the list of questions sent through the system today. Would like to further summarize, and since we don't have any further questions that have come up through Credo, let me just summarize a few points that was brought through today's discussion. First and foremost, we have to work together to synergize our common goal and initiative to work towards urban living for pets. We can adopt the right strategies shared by our colleagues in Brisbane. For example, enhancing a strategic partnership model. It will be an area of focus, probably for the municipal council centres, where instead of trying to do everything themselves, they can look at those who are really committed to provide such a service to take over such a role. And these structured partnerships has to be built on trust, clarity, and accountability. So that is very clear. The other option would be, of course, to look at working towards safe activity zones for pets, and that can be worked along with the local councils once they have the confidence that pets have attained fair training in the Canine Good Citizen program. They would then justify the ability for these animals to exercise and use an open area and more like a gated area for the benefit of those who may not be pet friendly. We have to keep that in mind. And we may also want to focus on issues in the Klang Valley first, since we have a lot of municipal councils here that need to communicate and share their experiences and maybe build on each other's strengths and weaknesses. And lastly, of course, the bigger goal is to try to get a joint body to oversee the management of and address pet ownership in the urban scale. Is that a fair summary of it? Or is anyone? Okay, great. Okay, so with that, I'd like to call this forum to a close. Thank you everyone for sharing your questions on the Credo to be answered, as well as thank you for the participation today. We have lost some crowds along the way, but for those of you who still have questions to ask, you're welcome to come up on stage and we can chat about it if there's anything. Otherwise, thank you everyone for your attention today. Thank you.
How many successful abandonment case has been brought to the court by DBS? Can somebody answer this?
I think that would be out of the purview of today's discussion. Yes. Yes.
We on the ground, we see a lot of abandonment and number of cases that we take, all right? And we literally know, and obviously Rottweilers, Pomeranians, or Huskies, they are not strays. Somebody would have abandoned, and we don't have a proof. So one of the things that I proposed in my proposal to 2017 was make microchip as compulsory matter for all licenses. All right? And this is very important because people can choose to either abandon or genuinely lose. All right? When they purposely lose it or purposely abandon the dogs or cat, there's no avenue to prove that they will actually bring it back. So I'm highlighting this because I want the panelists to know, and I believe all the teams are here to compile this and hand it over to the right party to reevaluate, right? And that's including the stray management, because we also notice people who has stray dogs, dogs in their house gets pregnant, they'll eventually dump it on the roadside, and it increases the population also. And also to make spaying and neutering as mandatory for all pet owners. This is back in 2017 that I spoke about. Right?
Thank you for your, if I may, you brought up microchipping, which was what I suggested that we do. I had a conversation with my learned panel speaker, Ms. Rosalind, here earlier, and she asked me something which I'm unable to answer in Malaysia, whether we have a database for that microchipping, because back in Brisbane, that's what you created first. You need to have a database before you switch into microchipping any animal. So we have got to go back to ministry and the relevant officials who are here who can take this data up to them or take this initiative up to them. Can they create a database? Will they be able to do so? And then lay the foundations for microchipping. And of course, once that happens, your issues of abandonment and other issues that come up, parent materia with having a standardized system amongst councils will be obviously looked at. But the microchipping solution is only one of it. For us, that's why we are here. I think at this symposium, we are trying to make sure these issues go national, or at least I'm hoping it is, but I believe It's our concerted effort that this goes national, this gets reported, and we get dialogue with these ministries and so on. They can come and sit down and we can start the initiative to have pet inclusiveness, a open thing here in Malaysia. Thank you.
All right. Thank you for the microphone because I couldn't shout much. I think this will give you a better tone of what I'm trying to say. Now, back in 2017, this is what I proposed to the council. And my focus was Selangor because that can be the pilot project and eventually implemented throughout the nation. Now, we noticed there's two segments of problems here. One is responsible pet ownership. The second segment is the stray management. All right? Now, the first part leads to the second part. So let me address the second part because we who are on the ground, running the show, catching, neutering, releasing them, and making sure they don't populate more, we see that the effort is not being recognized by the authorities. When there's a complaint, they catch. All we are saying is the TNRM should be working in a hybrid model, which means when there is a problem with strays, all right, whichever that's giving the problem should be isolated, but the one that's not giving problem should be left out because of the vacuum effect. So when I say left out means they are neutered, they are being managed, they are vaccinated, and to go additional step, they can be also microchipped and being registered, and they can be tagged to a local, we call it foster center, or in Malaysia, they call it a shelter. So it comes under their responsibility. The second part is when you solve all this on the street, we also need to make sure that the pet owners are doing their work right, which is the biggest concern we have. Number one is neutering or spaying their pets to make sure they are not being abandoned, all right? So microchipping comes next because I found dogs which has microchip, but it's not found in the My Passport database, all right? Number three, I've also advised the council, let us do the groundwork. Why not you guys going look at how many dogs or cats, or sorry, I would say dogs are not being licensed. And I can tell you, I can bet you on this, every single penny that I have, that only about 40 to 50% of the dog owners will get their license. If they happen to go out and do inspection, and I believe it's a loss of revenue to the council. All right? So they should be focusing on making sure the governance is done correctly. And I got to agree with the delegates from Brisbane. There should be stakeholders, people like us, the NGOs, shelters, freelance feeders who can work along. We are ready to do it, all right? But is the organization ready? Is the government agency ready, all right? So this whole proposal, whatever that you have mentioned here, was back in my 2017 proposal, including dogs which are brought to the construction site for security reasons. They should be having an owner. They should be spayed. They should be neutered. And we have a lot of cases where the new residential areas have dogs because when they bring in 2, they multiply into 10 within 1 year, and by the time the project finished, there's about 50, 60 dogs. Who manages them is people like us, all right? So I'm highlighting all this, not as a question, what you guys are going to do, but I'm highlighting this because this has been brought to their attention many years ago. And that's the reason why I would say a lot of us went to the street to protest. We wanted to get the government's attention to look at this matter as serious matter. By killing them, catching and killing them, you're not solving the problem. 50 years of my life, I've seen first half of my life, they were shooting down dogs. Another part of my life, they were catching and killing. Did they solve the problem? No. Today, we activists, we are ready. We are animal lovers. We are ready to help the government to neuter and release. And all I'm saying is every district, they should allocate a small piece of space which allows the feeders to isolate the dogs which is causing the problem. So today, I'll give you one example. Just on last Saturday, at my residential area, a dog was barking towards a small kid. Obviously, they get scared, it's normal. And the next day, the council came to catch the dog. Problem is, they did not catch the dog that caused the problem, they caught the dog which didn't cause the problem. So did they solve the problem? No. So this is what I'm trying to highlight so that all of us can take note. And I'm highlighting this that the NGOs, we all are ready to collaborate and we are open to work. And all the suggestions that's given was already brought out. All right? So thank you for listening out. And feel free, if you need any support from my end or any of my friends who are here, we are willing to support. Thank you.
Sure. Thank you for that. In fact, if you can just share your name and the organization with our secretary later, then we can follow up on the pointers, because this is an open platform for discussion. At the same time, we want to work with everybody here. That's the whole exercise. So whatever that you've mentioned very clearly, we will put that in this document. We're going to prepare a document to be issued to the municipalities as well as the authorities. So yeah, let's do it in a way that can move forward. Thank you. Yeah. So that takes us to the end of the forum discussion. Thank you for the input from the floor. And I would like to thank the panelists here today, Dr. Suhayati, Dato' Nordin, Mr. Dave Kumar, and of course, Ms. Roslyn and Paul, Paul and Mr. Wellington Ho. So thank you for your time today, and thank you for the successful forum. Thank you.
May I now invite Dato' Nordin and Dr. Amilan, Chairman and Deputy of MNAWF, to present a token of appreciation to our distinguished panelists. First, we'll have Dr. Suhayati. Thank you so much, Doctor. Next, we'll have Mr. Dave. Mr. Dave, maybe invite you. Thank you so much, Mr. Dave. Next, we'll have Mr. Paul. Thank you so much, Mr. Paul. Next, we'll have Ms. Roslyn. Thank you so much, Ms. Roslyn. Next, we'll have Mr. Wellington. Thank you so much, Mr. Wellington. Next, we'll like Dato' Nordin to give it to Dr. Amilan. Finally, we would like to present Dato' Nordin with a special token of appreciation in recognition of his remarkable 29 years of dedicated service as a chairman of MNAWF. Dato', thank you for your invaluable leadership, commitment and lasting contributions to the advancement of animal welfare in Malaysia. Ladies and gentlemen, we have now come to the end of MNAWF Symposium 2026. On behalf of the organizing committee, we would like to express our sincere appreciation to all distinguished speakers, panelists, government representatives, NGOs, veterinary professionals, municipal representatives, animal welfare advocates, and participants for your presence and contribution. We hope the discussion today will inspire stronger cooperation and meaningful action for a more compassionate and responsible society. Thank you once again for being a part of this important event. I would like to let you know that tea is served in Hall B. You guys can proceed to Hall B to have some hot tea. Thank you.